These performers were deeply despised by Gregory Peck. In this world, Gregory Peck came into this world. Gregory Eldred Peck at La Jolla, California on April 5, 1916. He had both ease and hardship in his early years. His parents separated when he was a little boy, which made his idyllic childhood in Southern California's coastal areas all the more difficult. Peck inherited the traits that would help him succeed as an actor: independence and resilience, from his grandmother, who raised him mostly. His cinematic appearance is characterized by a gentle seriousness and dignity that he inherited from his upbringing. Peck attended UC Berkeley to study pre-med after high school, but she quickly realized that acting was her true calling. He first got acquainted with theater while he was a college student. I discovered that acting was more than a pastime while performing in plays. The legendary Sanford Meisner was Gregory Peck's acting coach at the neighborhood playhouse in New York City in the 1940s. His striking good looks, towering stature, and uncanny knack for radiating honesty set him apart from the crowd. It didn't take long for Hollywood to take note. Days of Glory, a World War II drama released in 1944, was his cinematic debut, and his career took off after that. Peck rose to prominence as one of the most beloved leading men of his day, celebrated for his good looks and the nuance he added to his roles. Early films like as 1944's The Keys of the Kingdom, for which he was nominated for an Oscar, established him as an actor who could convey a range of emotions, from strength to fragility to moral conviction, in a single performance. Peck became widely recognized as one of the greatest actors of his time in the 40s and 50s. He collaborated with renowned filmmakers such as Alfred Hitchcock in 1945's Spellbound and King Vidor in 1940's Six's Duel and the Sun. In addition to his work in literary adaptations, he had starring roles in westerns and war films. The 1947 film Gentleman's Agreement, in which Gregory Peck portrayed a journalist who exposes anti-Semitism by posing as a Jewish man, was one of his most significant works from this period. The film's enormous success at the box office mirrored Peck's readiness to play politically charged parts that made viewers question their own biases and the fairness of the system. To Kill a Mockingbird, which he starred in 1962, was Peck's magnum opus, though. Played to her graceful and sympathetic best by Peck, the part was based on Harper Lee's much-loved classic. Defending a black man falsely convicted of rape, he personified the moral compass of a Depression-era little Southern town as Finch. He won the Oscar for Best Actor for his performance, which is still considered a cinematic classic. Peck has referred to the part as a defining moment in his acting career, and the character of Atticus Finch has served as an inspiration to students, lawyers, and generations of viewers. In addition to his successful career, Gregory Peck was a dedicated public servant and humanitarian. Throughout his life, he was politically active, championing liberal principles, equality for all, and civil rights. Nuclear disarmament, workers' rights, and free speech were some of the causes he championed. Hollywood and the rest of the world looked up to him because he was not afraid to utilize his celebrity to promote social justice issues. Peck was presented with the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1969 by President Lyndon B. Johnson, among many other accolades, in acknowledgement of his accomplishments and honesty. Although she took it easy in the 80s and 90s, Peck kept performing, juggling parts in films and TV shows. Later in life, he appeared in a number of films, including the acclaimed Commander Douglas MacArthur's 1977 biopic MacArthur and the terrifying Nazi war criminal's 1978 thriller The Boys from Brazil. His gravity was palpable even as he grew older, serving as a constant reminder of his brilliance to spectators. In the 1990s, he landed his last big part in a made-for-TV drama on another heroic man, Abraham Lincoln. Gregory Peck's personal life mirrors his professional success in that it exudes steadiness, respect, and unwavering dedication. His life outside of Hollywood was profoundly impacted by both of his marriages, which he had twice throughout his lifespan. The stability that his marriages provided, both in terms of friendship and family, helped him weather the extreme demands of popularity. Greta Kukkonen, a hairdresser and subsequently a dedicated philanthropist, was his first wife. She was born in Finland. They tied the knot in 1942, just as Peck was starting his ascent to stardom in Hollywood. He had only recently broken into the film industry. However, Greta remained an enduring presence during his early years of popularity, as his renown was swiftly rising. In the midst of his unexpected success, which he experienced in the 1940s thanks to his appearances in critically praised films, they settled down and started a family. Jonathan, Stephen, and Carrie were the three sons born to their union. And for over 10 years, they battled to juggle family duties with Gregory's demanding job. As is common in Hollywood, where personal relationships often feel the strain of long hours, continuous travel, and public scrutiny, the marriage came under strain despite their shared devotion. Gregory and Greta's 1955 divorce came after 13 years of marriage. Greta was still held in high regard as someone who had been a part of Peck's formative years, and despite the pain of their divorce, they stayed committed to their children. Gregory Peck began a long-term collaboration with French journalist Véronique Passani soon after his divorce. Véronique, a reporter for the French daily newspaper François, interviewed him in 1953, and their love affair began then. Peck was in Paris at the time promoting a film, and their professional encounter soon blossomed into much more. Their marriage took place 2 years later, in 1955, and it lasted for nearly 50 years, until Peck passed away in 2003. Gregory and Véronique were wed. A feeling of lasting friendship, mutual regard, and immense love were hallmarks of their marriage, qualities that were unusual in Hollywood, according to many. As she built her own life as a philanthropist and arts advocate, Véronique accompanied him to events, premieres, and international meetings. She was also his closest confidant and unwavering supporter. Anthony and Cecilia, Gregory and Véronique's children, benefited from the loving home life of their parents and the diverse cultural influences of Véronique's European heritage. The Peck's house flourished as a hub for intellectual discourse, art, and film, mirroring the refined taste of Véronique and the legendary status of Gregory in the entertainment industry. Friends and co-workers frequently mentioned Gregory's unwavering commitment to his family and how his second marriage supported him professionally as he neared the end of his career. Although he had a family life beginning with his first marriage, it was his second marriage that became famous as one of the most beloved Hollywood unions of its time. The bond between Gregory and Véronique was one of genuine cooperation, and it weathered the ups and downs of celebrity and the passage of time. After over 48 years of marriage, Véronique was by Peck's side until he passed away in 2003. Their relationship is proof positive of Gregory Peck's love and devotion, which were there in his real life as much as in his on-screen personas. For millions of people, Gregory Peck was the epitome of an actor who exuded grace, dignity, and gentlemanly charm. He became an icon of the golden age of Hollywood thanks to his towering stature, powerful voice, and solemnity, which made him an ideal choice for parts requiring quiet strength and integrity. But Peck, like every man, had his own views. Even though they put on a professional front, there were some movie business heavy hitters who really tried his patience. Although Peck seldom let his private feelings be known to the public, his close friends and family knew that he had a simmering animosity toward a handful of his classmates. His private remarks about them were forthright, unfiltered, and frequently shockingly honest. Among the names that kept popping up, Charlton Heston was one. Peck thought Heston was too rigid and lacking in nuance in his performances, even though the two men were cinematic heavyweights at the same time. Peck once made the astute observation that Charlton believed appearing heroic was sufficient. Truth, not jaw-clenching, is what matters most in acting. Truth, I'm sorry to say, was never presented in any of his performances. They met together socially and professionally despite the fact that Peck was known for his grounded dramas and Heston for his biblical and epic adventures. Because of his penchant for nuance, Peck thought Heston's performance lacked heart. Richard Peck was irritated by Robert Mitchum as well. Their 1962 film, Cape Fear, featured them both. In this groundbreaking thriller, Mitchum portrayed one of the most terrifying villains in cinema, while Peck portrayed a steadfast lawyer. The picture did well at the box office and with critics, although Peck said afterwards that he hated working with Mitchum. Peck admitted that Mitchum possessed talent, but he was also unmotivated, irresponsible, and disrespectful at times. He was more comfortable imbibing, gambling, and strolling into set with half of his gear ready. I've never been one to tolerate that. Acting requires self-control, and Mitchum flourished when he defied authority. Off camera, Their relationship was merely cordial, but throughout filming, he kept his personal reservations in check and acted professionally. Marlon Brando was a revolutionary method actor who shook up Hollywood, but Peck apparently didn't like him. Peck thought Brando's style was ridiculous, even though younger audiences and critics thought he was brilliant. Too unpredictable. Peck later acknowledged that Brando was truly remarkable when he was emotionally invested. However, he hardly gave a damn. He would be rude to the directors, mumble his lines, and act like the procedure was beneath him. In my opinion, that was more a display of hubris than artistry. In an intellectual battle, Peck's classical upbringing and reverence for tradition and Brando's wildly unpredictable manner clashed. While Peck held professionalism in the highest regard, Brando frequently delighted in anarchy, which infuriated Peck to no end. I grew to despise Frank Sinatra for reasons unrelated to his acting, but rather his antics. While Peck acknowledged Sinatra's accomplishments in the entertainment industry, he despised his image in Hollywood. Peck sarcastically remarked that Frank Sinatra was never sure when to stop being himself. The attitude, the entourage, and the ego he brought into every room was draining. Frank was always the tail, and you can't be bigger than a story. Those close to Peck understood that he tried to avoid Sinatra at all costs, even if they never had a public feud. Despite his intense dislikes, Peck kept up a courteous and diplomatic public persona and seldom trash-talked individuals in interviews. Whenever his comments were exposed, it was typically in private letters, memoirs, or honest conversations with friends and acquaintances that occurred years afterward. He was aware that harboring resentment could damage one's career, so he made a conscious decision not to allow his private grudges eclipse the grace he portrayed on television. No matter how much popular adoration each actor received, the four actors he referenced most frequently, Heston, Mitchum, Brando, and Sinatra, remained the ones he could neither respect or admire. Even though Gregory Peck was a towering figure of honesty in Hollywood, he was nevertheless human enough to despise, critique, and reject some of his colleagues. He was a man who could not stand anyone who, in his view, betrayed the holy art of acting. His remarks were measured but sharp, and they reveal his utmost value: professionalism, honesty, and discipline. Gregory Peck, one of the most beloved and esteemed actors in American cinematic history, died away quietly in his sleep on June 12, 2003. He was 87 years old. Bronchopneumonia, a life-threatening lung disease that strikes the elderly with alarming frequency, was listed as the reason of his death. Los Angeles, California, had been Peck's professional stage and personal sanctuary for many years. He passed away at home in the privacy of his own house there. There was dignity and calmness in his last moments, and he was not alone. At his side stood his loving wife, Veronique Passani, with whom he had been married for nearly half a century. After decades of a career that frequently took him beneath the bright lights of Hollywood, their lasting partnership had been a rock for Peck in his final years, giving him stability, love, and company. Upon his passing, Peck was laid to rest in the Cathedral of Our Lady of the Angels Mausoleum, a magnificent Roman Catholic cathedral located in the heart of Los Angeles that is home to the tombs of numerous famous people. His strong religious and community ties, as well as his fame as an actor, were factors in the choice to inter him there. An appropriate and respectful location for fans and family to pay their respects to a man whose screen and public life presence had left an everlasting impression on generations was the cathedral, with its majestic architecture and serene ambience. Friends, family, and colleagues from all around the entertainment industry, as well as admirers who admired Peck's honesty and morality, gathered for his funeral and memorial services. The eulogy given by actor Brock Peters was a moving part of the service. There was profound symbolic significance in Peters' attendance at the event. Tom Robinson, the black man falsely accused of a crime in the 1962 film To Kill a Mockingbird, was portrayed by him decades earlier. The heroic attorney who stood up for Robinson in the face of institutionalized racism and other social pressures was Gregory Peck in that timeless picture. Among cinema's most iconic depictions of empathy, moral bravery, and fairness, their on-screen romance had become legendary.